Earthquake, a sudden and violent shaking of the ground, sometimes causing destruction as a result of movement within the Earth's crust. We hear stories on our news stations from countries all around the world experiencing deadly earthquakes, but we often forget the deadly fault line that lies right beneath us here in the US. The San Andreas Fault, better known as the Big One, has produced some of the deadliest earthquakes in US history, causing catastrophic damage. With that being said, we are going to take a look into what exactly the San Andreas Fault is, the history behind the San Andreas Fault, and what would happen if there were to be an earthquake there today. Now that I've introduced you to one of the deadliest fault lines in the US, let's go back to middle school and let's take a few moments to go over a brief lesson about earthquakes. Now, I'm sure you all have heard about the Richter scale, tectonic plates, or possibly even a transform fault, but I'll give you guys a recap. The Richter scale is a scale that measures the magnitude of an earthquake, exactly how powerful it is, and how much damage it causes. According to caltech.edu, California, all the way down to the Salton Sea, is capable of producing an 8.1 magnitude earthquake. This would not only be devastating, but deadly. Now, tectonic plates are pieces of land that surround the Earth's outer shell. They most often resemble puzzle pieces that protect the ground. Now, a transform fault is a fault where two plate boundaries move horizontally past each other. This causes friction. This friction is what causes earthquakes. Now, the San Andreas Fault is a continental transform fault that extends over 750 miles through California. The tectonic boundary within the San Andreas Fault is where the North American plate meets the Pacific plate. Now that we've gone over a short science lesson, let's go over a brief history lesson into how the San Andreas Fault came to be. The fault was born over 30 million years ago, but was founded in 1895 by UC Berkeley geology professor Andrew Lawson. Andrew Lawson named the San Andreas Fault after the Laguna de San Andreas, which is the name of a valley just south of San Francisco that was formed by the San Andreas Fault. According to geologypage.com, the San Andreas Fault is one of the most popular faults in the world. Its notoriety comes partly from the 1906 disastrous earthquake, but mainly because it runs through California, a highly populated state that is always in the news. The 1906 disastrous earthquake completely leveled San Francisco, making it one of the deadliest earthquakes in the US. Over 3,000 people perished in this earthquake. 28,000 buildings were completely destroyed, 250,000 people were left homeless, and it was left with over $500 million in damage. Shortly after this earthquake, a sea level disturbance ran through the city, better known to us as a tsunami, which left the devastation even worse. Now that we've gone over a short history lesson and a brief science lesson, let's talk about the future of the fault. The San Andreas, California has experienced several small earthquakes within the past few years, only bringing us closer to the eruption of the San Andreas Fault. According to Business Insider, the San Andreas Fault ruptures every 150 years. The southernmost part of the faults haven't experienced an earthquake in over 200. This makes us way overdue for a major shake. Over the past few years, several pieces of technology have come out that will give people a warning before an earthquake. But this won't entirely help us, as according to USGS, in a hypothetical 7.8 earthquake, we could still see 1,800 people perish, 900 people pass away in fires, 600 people in building collapse, and 150 in transportation accidents. Now that we've gone over the history of the fault, the science behind the fault, and the future of the fault, you may be thinking, as Iowans, why do we have to worry about this? Although we wouldn't be directly affected by the San Andreas Fault, if there were to be an earthquake, we could still face repercussions, along with the states surrounding us. Now, if you ever find yourself in an earthquake, remember to duck and cover.